The market's sort of knee-jerk response here is to buy risk assets. The next response is to fade that risk-off move. Is that the correct response here?
I think it is. I've seen too many people that are saying that we're now at war with Iran, which is very far from the case. It is certainly a very big escalation from the United States. But there's a really big difference between the Americans taking out Soleimani and, say, the Iranians taking out Pence and Pompeo. There's massive power asymmetries on the ground. The Iranians are well aware of them. When they've been faced with massive military escalation in the past, they've backed down. And look, Trump is not the most predictable president. We all know that. But we know the Iranians don't want to have their nuclear program obliterated or their military capabilities in the region. They've had a lot of problems and difficulties geopolitically in the past months. I think they will retaliate, and I think there are bigger problems for the United States in the region and globally on the basis of this, which we can get into. But I really would be surprised if this tips us into direct military confrontation with Iran. And that's, I think, what the markets would be reacting to if they were really worried.
Ian, what is now clear is where the red lines of the White House lie. You
That's
kill
right.
an American, we're coming after you. You attack an American facility, we're coming after you. You hit an economic target, well, that's a different message. Does that therefore dictate how Tehran is going to respond to this?
Yeah, the Iranians clearly miscalculated. They considered Trump was a paper tiger, and it turned out Trump was only a paper tiger in terms of other countries in the region. The Iranians have done a lot of things in the last 6 months. They've hit tankers. They've blown them up. They've captured them. They've hit the Saudi major oil processing facility, took 50% of Saudi oil off the markets. And the American reaction was, we're going to send some troops to Saudi Arabia that they're going to pay for. It was incredible restraint. So much so that the Saudis felt like they need to start opening more diplomatic channels with Iran because they couldn't count on the Americans. But there was a red line. That red line was American lives on the ground. And no question that when Soleimani orchestrates an attack on an American base, and American soldiers are injured, and one American citizen is killed, that leads to a reaction, and a much more escalatory reaction than the Iranians were expecting. And I think they now will miscalculate less. And I would be, I certainly expect there will be attacks on American facilities in the region through proxies. I believe that. And I also believe that it's going to be a lot harder for the Americans to maintain a troop presence in Iraq. And the Iraqi parliament, I think, will move in directions to legislate against that. It's going to be interesting to see how Trump responds. But that's different than saying that the Iranians are actually going to try to hit commensurate American targets, for example, like take out a major general or something like that. I'd be very surprised that the Iranians would engage in that kind of behavior.